Hello everyone, KosakChess here, round number 7. So we are closely reaching to the end, but there are still 3 rounds to go. So, we still need to focus, we still need to fight. In round number 7, I played against local player, International Master Danielyan Vahe from Armenia, 23-19, a grandmaster who really often have been in Poland. He played some tournaments like Ustroń Open. He also played European Championships, which were held in Katowice. And I know him as a blitz specialist, a good dynamic player, where he likes size traps, where he likes to put the opponents under the pressure by playing, maybe bluffing something. But he calculates well, he calculates quickly, so a really unpleasant opponent to face. That's why my opening choice might be surprising. E4, E5, Nf3 Nc6. Oh, the board disappeared, but now you should see it. Sorry for that inconvenience. G3. So it is a novelty in my database. It was a novelty because but month later I played the same move on Polish Ekstraliga. The G3 move. What is this move all about? I don't know. It is just to out-prep your opponent really quickly, to put him in a really unfamiliar position, and also to calm a situation a little bit. As I told you in probably round number 3, I really like to play against my opponent's style, So if I know that he is playing dynamic chess, if he likes to, if he also knows this E4, E5 really well, I want to get him into some unfamiliar positions, because G3 is of course a sideline of his sidelines, like you don't meet this move really often. But anyway, he played the move G6, so we can see that he anyway wants to play a little bit uncommonly by putting bishop on G7. He won't allow me to play the move D4. So that's why I play the move D4. E takes D4, knight D4, bishop G7, and knight D2. This move might look strange, but it is the engine recommendation. Unfortunately, this is how the chess looks like. I prepared this line. I had a short brief what to do after the move G6, and I knew that after knight D2 with the bishop G2 and then short castle, I don't have an advantage, but I have a playable position where I might develop my pieces on the really normal squares and to have a normal game. So knight D2, it is not a move I can explain to you. Maybe the thing to explain is that after the move bishop E3, I might have some problems with keeping this knight on D4. If something like knight F6 happens and I play knight C3, sometimes, I don't say right now, but we may expect such moves like knight G4. The idea is that after queen G4, knight D4, black has centralized knight, although maybe not this particular position, because after long castle I am way ahead of development. But knight D2 is just safer, and this is the first engine recommendation. So, as I told you, this is unfortunately how the game may look like in the opening, of course, on a little bit higher level. In the highest level, it looks, of course, let's say, the fundamental things are the same, but they surprise opponents, like 2700 players, they surprise the opponents on the move number 15, 20, 25, sometimes, but rarely, it happens also in our games. But who cares? H5. So this game is not going to be normal, as you can see. We are both breaking the rules, breaking the opening rules. But the H5 move is, to be honest, a good way to deal against this move G3, because if I play bishop G2, then the move H4, and sometimes even H3, he wants to kick off the bishop from my fianchetto position. So H4, the typical reaction, as you can remember also from the previous round. Actually, when I played the move A5 with black, and my opponent answered with the move A4. So these wing pawn moves are really typical reaction when one meets each other. Knight G7, bishop G2, castle, knight C3. First I want to control the D5 square, D6, bishop G5. I make a use of this fact that there is no pawn on H7, so H6 is impossible, so this bishop on G5 might be really annoying, but the same thing can happen with the bishop on G4, which we will see in the really next few moves. Knight E5, castle, C6, so controlling the D5 square, there is no longer knight D5 possible. If I play knight D5 immediately, there is a move F6, ugly looking move, but it attacks my bishop, and after escaping, knight takes d5, he takes my centralized knight, and then f5, he can open his own bishop. Black is perfectly fine there. I wanted to keep as many pieces as it is possible. There's no need for me to exchange pieces, because as you know, if we keep more pieces, we have more chances to create something, right? So castle c6, queen d2, of course, normal looking move, trying to make a d1 square for my rook. Bishop g4, so you see, a mirror move. Now also, I would love to play h3 one day to kick off this bishop, really annoying one, but I can't. b3, some prophylaxis move, because if I play the move rook a1, which is there was nothing wrong with the move rook a1, but something like knight c4 might happen once, you know? And this pawn might be attacked, this queen is attacked. If queen c1, then bishop e2, knight e2, and I lose the pawn on b2. So, because of this fact, I play the move b3 to not allow him to go on c4. f6. So, he realizes that this bishop sometimes is annoying, because, you know, it shoots throughout the e7 square, throughout the d8 square. Of course, I don't look at it directly. But anyway, queen c7 is probably a normal reaction. After which, probably maybe I would even mirror his move, play f3, and play something like rook a1, target this d6 pawn. The position is really complex, but we have all the pieces. We have already exchanged only one pawn, so many things can happen there, and many maneuverable things. There is nothing wrong with the move f6, I believe. Bishop f4, so I just escape. No, of course, no bishop h6. Not only I exchange pieces, which I don't really want to do, but after queen h6, I think I can be afraid of some moves like g5. And the idea is that after hg5, knight f7, I saw this variation. There is just a repetition. Queen h6, knight f7. I have no legals. I have many legal squares. I have only f6 and h6 square are the only available moves for my queen. So this would be a repetition. Of course, when I have white pieces and when I'm playing against a lower rated opponent, I want to fight for a full stake. Especially with white pieces. Bishop f4, queen c7, and queen e3. I could play rook a1, but something, something tell me that there might be some checks like knight f3 check, maybe bishop f3, queen e3, just, sometimes, especially in this position, this position is so complex that sometimes I want to make a move which my opponent will not expect, and he will react in a little bit different way. Maybe he will try to surprise me, to create some counterplay, etc., etc. There's of course nothing wrong with the move rook a1. Of course not. But queen e3, this is also a move which, maybe I will explain. After rook a1, rook a8, he defends the pawn. But if I play the move queen e3, this rook is attached to this pawn. Because now, after rook a8, of course, I can grab this pawn. And I am happy. I took a pawn. So queen e3, probably it is also all about attaching this rook to this a7 pawn. He played the move b6 then. So he weakened a little bit his pawn structure. It is maybe even... It's not maybe weakening at all, because it is a pawn move, but every pawn move is weakening your position, said one of the former world champions. I don't remember who was him, probably Wilhelm Steinitz, told that every single pawn move is weakening your position. So that's why I played the move a4 and weakening my own. But pawn chain and also some a5, because I understood that if I play schematically by playing, you know, just putting the rooks on the d file, etc., he will defend it really easily. I don't have a way to break this position, you know? I just don't. So I thought that if I play a little bit uncommonly by playing the move a4 to change the direction of the game a little bit, to play not in the center but on the wing, maybe it would help something. Rook a8 played anyway, and after the move a5, of course he can take. Of course he can take, or maybe even play b5. But I thought there's no need to hurry with the move a5, rook ad1. So you may think, and it's probably correct, that I played inconsequently. I played the move a4 with the intention of playing e5, but then rook ad1. What the hell I am talking about? I told that there's no need to make a pressure on the d6 pawn, and after the next move I am making the pressure on the d6 pawn. But as I told you, this position is complex. We are maneuvering a little bit. I don't want to really spoil my intentions. He doesn't want to spoil his intentions, so we are just maneuvering. We are playing really slowly, and you can see rook f8, f3, bishop c8, queen f2. We reached move number 20 and we only exchanged one pawn. d5, he finally decided to not stay and to open the position, and I was hoping for that he will just not, you know what? He can just stand and do nothing. He can. But it's really hard. It's really hard in chess to just stand and do nothing. And wait. And improve your position slowly. And wait and wait. He couldn't stand that. He couldn't stand in one place because we know that he is a dynamic player. We know he loves open positions. We know he loves space for his pieces. So sooner or later, he would open this position, and now he played the move d5. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with this move. Of course, he prepared all his pieces. He has rook on the centrals, on the central lines. He has all pieces ready to open the position. But probably the best opportunity for him anyway was to just stand and do nothing. I don't have a way to break the position. If I move the move f4, if I move the pawn on f4, knight g4 always happens, you know? If I play the move g4, hg4, this square is really well covered. He has no weaknesses at all, although his position is passive. But mine is not more active, you know? It is not more active. Probably after just doing some random move, let's say, random move which doesn't destroy the position, let's say, even bishop g7, you know, bishop f8, bishop g7, he can maybe just go with the bishop and stay. There is no way I can break this position without destroying my own. But if I destroy my own position, now he would have some targets to rebound, to take the advantage, and then eventually maybe win the game. But he couldn't stand and play the move d5. Of course, it is normal. It is normal reaction. But I was also waiting for that because I know that if he opens the position, I get a chance to win. So a psychological battle, rook f1, d takes e4, knight e4. Of course, I want him to exchange my own pieces. I want to exchange pieces on my own conditions. Knight e4, bishop g7, and the move c4. I am proud of this move because I covered the d5 square, and probably the next move is probably pre-move knight d5. So the move c4 just covers this square. Bishop e6 happened, knight d4, and bishop c8. And this maneuver might look stupid, but my knight on d4 centralized, but it is also now attacked. It might be attacked by his bishop. If he plays the move f5, it can get another potential attacker. The knight on d4, of course, is the knight on d4, but it closes also the rook. So his maneuver wasn't that stupid at all. I played the move bishop h3. I thought that I am Karpov and Capablanca combined, and if I exchange this stupid bishop on g2, which does nothing, it would show the great understanding of the game. Bishop h3, king h3, and my king is on h3 is placed weirdly. is placed weirdly, but I can hide it. I can hide him on g2 whenever and wherever I want. And my knight maybe now can reach the e6 square. So that's why he played the move knight f5. This is really committing move. This is really committing move because he spoils his pawn structure. Of course, maybe I don't have an easy access to this pawn structure. But if he does not prove that his activity and his active pieces doesn't prove that this pawn structure is worth the thing, he will just have these bad pawns, which are pretty easy to attack, especially with my knight, which can jump all over the board and attack the h5 pawn. He can also attack the f5 pawn. Because of this fact, I have the knight. Okay, my pawn structure on the queen side is not better, but at least it's harder for him to enter to the queen side. On his, if I were him, I would go for queen c8. And king g2, maybe not knight f5, because now knight f5 and knight d6. But again, I would just... Well, I don't like knight f5 for him. I was happy when the knight f5 appeared on the board. Maybe this move isn't bad at all. But queen c8 and... Yeah, but what to... But what to offer instead? If not this, because maybe I don't have an... Let's say king h7, yeah? Let's say king h7. No, king h7 is stupid. Bishop e5, knight g5, knight d6, so... Yeah, maybe we will wonder, but it's good to wonder even now. Well, this is the problem. He opened the position, and now he is maybe lacking of finding the plan. Lacking finding. English grammar. Hard thing. Lacking... what am I talking about? Stop. Queen c8, king g2. Yes, his opposition is passive. Maybe he doesn't have a good move. Let's say, okay, so maybe not king h7, but king h8. Maybe like this. No, but there's knight f6. Okay, so the position is harder for black than I thought. Okay, so maybe knight f5 has also its tactical reasons to exchange these knights, to get rid of them. Knight f5, gf5, knight c3. So as I told, the knight can maneuver. Queen f7, so the queen protects the pawn. Queen c2, I target one. Queen g6, rook d8, and rook d1. I realized that if I exchange all his rooks, so the most dangerous pieces of him, I can easily and slowly improve my position. He doesn't want to do it. He wants to keep one of his most active piece. King g2 to cover the pawn. Bishop f8 and slowly Capablanca Karpov combined move rook d2. You know what? It also covers the second rank, of course, so the rook can't enter. But I have also this maneuver. What the heck is that? It didn't even happen in the game. Is there like a ghost? Is there a ghost? Okay, it was strange. Maybe I accidentally pressed the space button, and whenever you press the space button, sometimes the leeches can offer you can propose you the best move in the position. Maybe, but I don't have even engine turned on, so okay. Who cares? Bishop c5. Bishop c5 happened in the board. I wanted just to say that rook d2 is Capablanca Karpov move because knight d1, knight e3. I want to get an access on the d1 square for my knight. Bishop c5 and knight d1 happened anyway. king f7. So he, okay, if you play knight d3, I just chop your knight, and you can't attack my f5 pawn anymore. Knight f2, I played. With the idea, because, okay, knight d3, bishop e3 might not work for the tactical reason knight f3. Rook is attacking, is looking for the e3 pawn, e3 bishop. And I think we might just expect the perpetual, you know, because king e2, queen g2, the king can't really escape via this, via d1 or e1, because I keep checking. If king d4, then queen e5. King d3, queen e4, king c3, and queen e5 anyway. If rook d4, then c5, I might even lose this endgame. If king b4, then queen c5, I can't escape, unfortunately. So, the knight f2 is all about that after bishop f2, I take with the king. Oh, okay, I can't target this f5 pawn anymore, but I have the bishop. I have the d5 for my heavy pieces, so I can maybe enter in the future somewhere. Rook e7, rook d8. He allowed me, so I go there. a5. This is the move number 36. Maybe it's worth to mention. So after we are soon reaching the time control, but it also means that we are playing low on time, and I play queen d1 to have a full control over the d file. Queen e7, queen g7, sorry, bishop e5, f e5. What are you doing, man? Why are you improving this pawn structure? Now he doesn't have double pawns. Okay, but I have this tactical reason, knight h3. I have a g5 square right now. I can't put my knight there. I can't put my horse. And the funny thing is that he doesn't have an opportunity to defend it. Because if you play bishop e3, queen d3, I attack these two undefended pieces. So he played queen g6, knight g5, king g7, and the move f4. Where is time control, so I had the time to calculate the move f4. You know, if you want to attack the opponent's king, you need to open lines, diagonals, and remove the pawns. You need to remove the pawns. If the e takes f4 move happens, you can see that the diagonal on which the king is located right now is opened, so I can get a check. This is important in creating an attack. Remember, you need to remove pawns, defenders, and open the files and diagonals. Okay? Because if you also open the g file, it would be much easier to attack. If you get rid of this e5 pawn, it is also a way easier to attack. Queen f6 of course doesn't work. Rook g8, decoying the king, and queen f6. So bishop d4 happens to control this diagonal. F takes e5, bishop e5, and slow move queen d3. I asked him, what do you want to play, man? Because it's not so easy to make a move right now. It is also prophylaxis, because I realized that the move f4 might open the position for his attack. He wants to remove the pawns, he wants to open the files, he wants to open the diagonals. So queen d3 is all about the prophylaxis against the move f4. Because now after the move f4, the same tactical motive happens. Rook g8. And I win the queen. So bishop f6. I don't know why. Maybe he didn't know what to play, because he's in some sort of a zugzwang, you know. Let's make a random move. If he plays the move c5, for example, I get an access to the d5 square. And then to g8. And it might be really troubling for black. Let's say he plays with the rook somewhere, which doesn't blunder it. He plays the rook c7. Rook d7 check. Take, king g8. You may think nothing wrong happens. But anyway, I lose, I win. I win the bishop. Let's say he moves with the queen, so he loses the pawn. Maybe queen f6. Queen f6 maybe. But anyway, I get something like c5, you know? bc5 and queen c4, and I can, you know, keep checking him. So this position might be already really unpleasant for him. Might be already really unpleasant. Bishop f6 he played, but he allowed me to go rook d6. Unintuitive, but I close his bishop, I pin him, and I attack these weak pawns. He played the move f4, so probably the act of the desperation, but also a good try, because King, Queen G6, King G6, Gf4, King F5, he gets some activity. King F3, Rook E1, he can go to the last rank and keep checking and grabbing all these pawns, etc, etc. Rook F1, Rook H1, let's say, attack this and this. Also Rook B1, Rook B3. So he gets an activity. That's why it is important to play with the correct move order. Knight D6 check first. If he takes the knight, I first take the queen, because the queen would hang anyway. In other case, sorry. Rook E6, Rook E6, Queen G6, King G6, Rook E6. And I am material up. So King F7, Queen G6, King G6, and Knight takes F4 with the check. I take with the check, King F5, and I start just grabbing all the pawns. Bishop D4, Rook D6, now this endgame is winning. I grabbed another one, so 3 pawns, and just to doesn't give him any hope. Rook D5 check, come back with the knight, and the last but precise move, Rook D3, which doesn't allow him to go Rook E3. It covers this pawn. I have these 2 passers, and because of the fact he's 3 pawns down in the endgame, he just decided to call it a day and resigned. We may even think where he made a fatal mistake, because he was playing really normal. I have told you about that he played really solid in the opening. He didn't have any weaknesses at all. So why he lost the game? Chess is interesting because it's a really wide subject, and we may talk about it hours and hours. Why he lost a position where he didn't have weaknesses, where he was just solid. I couldn't break his position even on no. I couldn't break the. I couldn't, you know. English is hard. Why am I talking about this error on every single episode? I don't know, but I want to say that I couldn't break him on the queen side, on the king side, in the center. Everywhere he was solid. So why did he lose the game? Well, the thing is that I play not only the position, but against the opponent. Yeah, we can divide these 2 things. You play against the position, but also you play against the opponent. Bobby Fischer might disagree with that, but Bobby Fischer was a genius, so we may not understand all of his thoughts. We as a, common human beings. But in general, you play against the position, and for example, if we played against Karpov the same position, if we played the same position against the Karpov, let's say this one. If we have the same position against Karpov, or even maybe let's say one modern player, if we have the same position against Mickey Adams, against Dominguez, there's no way you can win with White. He will just stand, he will just do nothing, he will just slowly improve his position, but he will never open it. Because they know, that if they open the position there, the solid position, especially if their style and character of play is rather solid, strategical, etc, etc, they will not break this position, they will never open it. But if you play against a player who loves to play King's Indian with black, who loves to open the position, who loves to put the bishop on g7, he can't stand the fact, most probably, that this bishop is closed and does nothing. He can't stand this fact. So my opening choice, this, 3g3, this 3g3, of course, against Dominguez, against Mickey Adams, probably it is the stupid decision you can ever make, to go for such a strategical position against them. But against the dynamic against the dynamic player, who loves tactical positions, who loves open positions, who loves space, if he just take all of these strengths and throw it out, no man, you don't play King's Indian, you don't play open positions, now we keep all of our pieces on the second and the third rank. Today we are playing passive chess. He can't stand it, He doesn't want to even listen to such things, to such awful things. No way, man, I will show you, I will open my position and I will destroy you. Well, maybe it doesn't look like that in the in the real life, but it is the case, or it might be the case. You play against the position, but sometimes you play against the opponent, you know? And this is the thing. This is the crucial thing. I am happy of this opening choice. Against the Mickey Adams, I would go for something more dynamic, let's say the Ruy Lopez. Against the Dominguez also. Okay, they know the more theory in these positions. Or maybe differ, so let's say the Scotch, or maybe Italian, Jacopiano. I hope you get the point. I hope you get the point, like, you need to also play against your opponent. So that's why when you prepare for the opponent, you don't have to only study his games and let's say, oh, he plays martial attack in the Spanish, I don't want to go for it. No, you need to decide why you don't want to go for the martial. And I think I understood it. Maybe for those who doesn't know, today I think no engine because this game is not all about getting the advantage, it's all about playing against the opponent. The martial. So this is really dynamic variation in the Ruy Lopez, one of the most dynamic variations to play for a not only for an equalizing the position, but it has a fighting mode. We have a fighting mode on. We sacrifice a pawn, but we are getting a compensation. Bishop d6 queen h4. We can launch a pretty fine attack for the white king on the white king. And why I didn't enter to this position? Well, it's all about the opponent. If he is really familiar with the dynamic positions, if he is familiar with creating checkmating nets, if he likes to sacrifice, etc., etc., I know he's playing King's Indian for the whole time. He might go for some martial. He just likes and hopes that every single position he will have, it will be opened. But, you know, every single player, maybe except Magnus and Fabiano, or these top players in general, everyone has its own weaknesses, but they maybe hide it really, really, really well. But these players like 24, 25, 2600, guys, we are not amateurs. Okay, maybe I am a professional amateur right now, but 2500 Grandmasters, 2600 Grandmasters, they all have weaknesses. And we can realize them by just analyzing their games and trying to understand if they like open positions or rather close, do they exchange pieces or do they destroy pawn structures, etc., etc. You know, like there are a lot of factors you can read in many books, and I think this is really good to know. This is really good to understand that I played this game and I played this opening, this G3, against my opponent. I know that I don't get any advantage after the opening. I know that this position is the worst position you can reach if you want to win on demand. But psychology, you know, you play against your opponent. I hope you will understand it. And I think maybe the crucial mistake was playing the move d5. Although, you know, okay, you may ask, he likes opening the position, so he played in his own style, and you even told this is not wrong. Of course, but I also like open positions. I also like having space for my pieces, etc., etc. But I might be flexible. I can switch for both styles, strategical and dynamic. Let's say with better or worse results, but I think I can do it. I can switch it. And you know, I am just waiting for him. Okay, if you open the position, remember, man, you also open my position, and we are both on the correct path. And if he opens the position, you know that you need to have a space for your pieces. Okay, we both of his pieces and mine pieces are both active and passive. Like these knights are active, but the rest is pretty passive. But it's easier for me to play active moves. It's easier for me to exchange pieces. You see, I have 2 centralized knights, he has only 1. Maybe it's a small difference, but anyway a difference. And then if he opened the position, of course he sometimes, you know, he was trying to switch the king to the king side, you know, the queen to the king side. But my king was really safe. His knight is centralized, but he destroyed his pawn structure. And, well, this position, of course, it's still, it is not clear who is better there. I think it's me, because of this destroyed pawn structure. But it's not easy to access, to get an access to them, you know? So we are slowly improving. The thing is also that I don't have any weaknesses. If I had a weakness, even one weakness, he would just focus on it, regroup all of his forces, and try to attack it. But if I don't have weakness at all, my king is pretty safe. I have 3 pawns just around my king. All of these pawns are protected. There's no tactics in the air. So he already starts, you know, maybe not panicking because this word is too big. If you, Vahe, if you are listening to this analyze, I hope that you are that you are not angry at me if you watch this all. But I think that's the case. He started regrouping his pieces, etc., etc. He even allowed me to make my move. He even allowed me to enter with my rook on this last rank in order to, let's say, mess the position a little bit. It's all about the psychology, you know? Like queen d1, knight h3, and f4. So he couldn't, he couldn't stand. He opened the position, but then if he didn't found any way to somehow use this fact that he opened the position, he was slightly, well, maybe not slightly, but he was just suffering in this position, and unfortunately bishop f6 was the last mistake. Queen f6, as I told, probably it is better, because after c5, bc5, queen c4, apparently there's no threat for white. Maybe he can play f4 anyway, and if I give a check, king h6, this king is safe, this king can't get checkmated. It even can't get checked. Rook f8, queen g6, and bishop is still covering the h8 square. So, really complex game, but I am happy that I played against the opponent, not only against the position. It is quite an important thing. Sorry for my language skills today. I don't know why, but I just can't create a single sentence. At least maybe I'm talking stupid things, but like I am talking the 3rd month on this channel, and still the level of the English is, well, understandable, I hope. But it could be much better, especially if I try to listen every single day these American YouTubers, etc., etc. They talk so fluently without any problems. I know they are natives, and it's easier for them because they were born with this language. But there are examples of people who were not born in America or in England or in any country which speaks English, and they managed to get this fluence. But okay, it's a subject. It's a subject on for a different video. 6 out of 7. Can you imagine? 6 points out of 7. So I am happy with that result. Still 2 rounds to go. Still a great fight to put on. See you in the next recaps.